Welcome back to Fire Emblem Engage. Last time we completed Corrin's Paralogue and unlocked a bit of new power from her, and now we're going to do the Paralogue of the person whose outfit I'm wearing. So, let's head out to... I'm on the wrong menu, and I also just realized that this means I won't be able to use Byleth on anyone this chapter. No Goddess Dance, no Thyrsus. But okay, Sacred Tomb. Here the Divine Dragon will face an important trial. So, yeah, this place, like, the way they recreated the Holy Tomb is actually pretty good, but then again, I do think Engage's graphics are a lot better than Three Houses overall. Let's move out. The Instructor.
What is that? In the back there. Is that a throne?
No, it's apparently part of Sothis' body if we're going by Fire Emblem heroes.
This resembles the Holy Tomb. That's a place from my world.
What is the Holy Tomb?
It's where the goddess Sothis sleeps. For the Church of Seiros, this is the holiest place of all.
And for me, it's the most traumatic place of all.
To ensure the safety of the tomb, a monastery was built atop it.
A monastery that apparently deflects nukes, according to some aspect of lore.
Okay, so why is it here?
Only a very few know the legend of Saint Seiros in the Holy Tomb. Saint Seiros received power and revelation from the goddess, and with it, a sacred duty. She was to save the people of Fodlan, and use her power wisely in order to lead them.
And some may say she strayed from that a little bit.
Perhaps it's inevitable that we'd be guided here.
Why do you say that?
If the bond between us is to further strengthen, then you must face a trial here.
I see. And you want me to fight you, Byleth?
Show me whether you can wisely use the power you've gained on your journey so far.
I do actually like what Byleth is doing here, but this definitely falls more into the realm of headcanon. Considering that Byleth has been around a lot of people who probably didn't use their power all that responsibly, I kind of see this as Byleth's attempt to test whether Aaliyah is going to become another Rhea, Edelgard, or Dimitri.
Understood.
In your eyes, I see no hesitation. Good. Ready yourself.
I'm ready, and I won't hold anything back.
Of course, considering Three Hopes, I should also add Claude to the list. Okay, this screen actually looks quite dark on what I'm recording on, so I hope that doesn't mess me up. But yeah, we have, okay, unit selection. We can only bring 9 people here. But this place is laid out very uniformly. We also have these crystals here. These crystals have a lot of health, but they're part of an optional objective in this map. But yeah, I say uniformly because, like, everything's all laid out very neatly. Like, everything is just kind of arranged in rows. Got a couple of Sword Masters and a Silver Axe Berserker over there. Yeah, you fight Berserkers a lot more than Warriors in this game, I feel. None of them have Great Axes, which would do a ton of damage to those crystals. We've also got some Generals up here, as well as a Sage with money, and 2 Phantom Worms. So, unlike Corrupted Worms, Phantom Worms are weak to Dragon-slaying weapons. Even still, I don't even find the Worm Slayer that good, which kind of says something. But still, they are a thing that exists. They've got kind of power comparable to the Corrupted Worms we've been fighting so far. They are a little weaker in the defense department, though. Fortunately, unlike the Demonic Beasts of Byleth's game, they only have 1 health bar each. We've also got some snipers. On Maddening, I actually had somebody die to a combination of these snipers and sages before, so got to be a little careful about that. And then we've also got a kind of mirrored setup over on this side. But we also have Byleth himself, and yep, he's breaking out the Sword of the Creator here, as well as the Vajra Mushti. He's not really considered any kind of special unit type. I like that he's considered to have a S rank in punching. But he has, okay, he's got the strength version of Instruct, and he has Goddess Dance, and the people surrounding Byleth have Warp Staves. So normally this would be terrifying, but the thing with that is that let's just say the AI is very scripted in how it uses the Warp Stars, because if it wasn't, this map would have been nearly impossible. But also, Byleth has brought his 3 most trusted allies and confidants. Betelgeuse, Dimitri, and Blord. And they each have 2 health bars. They've also got 1,000 gold each, so it's kind of worth your while to take them out. Oh, the Sage also has 1,000 gold. I guess because there's less enemies with gold in this map, they each carry more. You might notice that none of them have any movement yet. That will change. Basically, they're the ones who are scripted to get warped. And they prioritize attacking the crystals over you, so they're not actually that much of a threat. But anyway. Okay, unit selection. I've been missing out on people... a lot of people have been missing out on experience, but at the same time, I think Amber needs to come here because I do want to kill enemies quickly. I'm actually not even sure if Ivy's a great idea right now. I'd probably rather have Clan's more reliable doubling. In fact, at the moment, he's only 1 magic weaker than she is. Oh, and I am actually allowed to use Corrin again, which is good. Oh, I am currently not bringing Seedol. That could be a problem. I kind of want Lapis to come back, especially with that Armor Slayer. She can even take a Worm Slayer and try and fight the dragons. And I'm gonna take this just in case Jean needs a bit more speed. Yeah, I think Blord is the only Wyvern rider on this map, so I'm okay with not bringing Anna, but do I really need Alchrist is the thing. I just had an incredibly silly idea. I mean, right now, Jean's problem is that he hasn't been doubling much. Well, oh, he doesn't even have, Speed Taker if I do this.
Lynn, I'm here for you.
I don't normally do this, but I'll be right back. Also, to be honest, I don't think Tamara's going to be that helpful here. Probably would rather have Alchrist. And okay, I'm actually going to put Erica on Lapis.
Erica! Yes.
Okay, good, I still have my Worm Slayer, I didn't just throw it in the well. Yeah, the thing is, both sides are very symmetrical. We've got Clan, Yunaka, Louis on that side. We have Amber down this side. Okay. Think I'm ready for this.
To win the fight, keep your eyes wide. Always know where your enemies are.
And always know which enemies have warp staves.
What are those things scattered around the battlefield?
Those are my targets, and I will destroy them. Unless you can prevent me from doing so.
I'll guard them well.
Stop Byleth from destroying the crystals. You will earn rewards depending on how many crystals you can protect. So this is a reference to the Creststone mechanic from this chapter in the original game.
I live to serve.
I believe Yunaka's actually a little bit off of getting into range of Louis' spur attack, but still. Yes, this is where things start becoming a little bit of an issue for Louis. He does at least two-shot these with the spear, though. You know, I used to consider this like one of my least favorite Paralogue themes, but this one's better than I thought it was. I also like how it gives a bit of love to Song of the Nabateans. I still hate the fact that we never got a full lyrical version of that song. We only hear one verse of it. And yet it's like several of the late game boss themes in Three Hopes are heavily influenced by it, and still it's just kind of hard to get a good feel of like what the full song sounds like. And of course it goes into Edge of Dawn here. Kind of wondering if I should engage here, or... Let's see, Ragnall... Okay, I can actually one-shot the sword guy, because the axe guy is probably going to die to Amber just by attacking him. You'll get no sympathy. Whereas the sword would otherwise break him. However, The thing is, just like in Three Houses,
I'm at
this
100%.
bonus objective is not that difficult to achieve. Because the enemies do tend to prioritize going for the crest stones, or in this case, crystals, over going for you.
I'll protect you.
Okay. I can kill that. The only question is, will Alcrus be receiving killage in return? Yep, 2 things can attack him from there, which is probably not great.
Yes.
I don't expect Jean to be able to Astra Storm kill that thing.
Emblem, engage.
Because that will still go off of his strength. Yep, absolutely barely anything. I mean, his hair looks pretty decent with Lynn's color scheme, though.
It was foretold.
Actually... So, 2 spaces in front of Lapis.
You're a lifesaver.
It kind of transitions to the Warriors 3 Hopes version there. But anyway, so yeah, my plan here is, if I kill off one of the generals, unless they, like, one-shot, and they do not one-shot Jean, okay, so if I kill off one of the generals, Alcrus should be fine to take out the Sage. Because Alcrus getting hit by one general is fine. And you guys are great fodder for Speed Taker. Oh, actually, mages quite like Alacrity, too. Yeah, see, this is the thing about, like, essentially Lyn makes anyone good. The only issue is, like I've said before, there's only one of her. And a lot of people would very much like Lyn. But yeah, as people have said, some people think Byleth is better because, like, the sheer amount of, like, power that he provides your whole army with Goddess Dance is kind of better than Lyn just making one character into an uber snowball of doom. That sounds really funny, but that's technically what Byleth does.
The Divine Dragon looked right at me.
I suppose you can stand behind and use Thunder and not kill, because okay then. Oh, well, I guess, you can kill this one. Yeah, I do like to take out the warriors early.
Sort of like that, maybe?
Because they end up going for the crest stones and they do a lot of damage to them. So Amber's pretty much got that covered. Lapis needs to get close to the worms because I want to try out Erica plus Wormslayer. I think she just barely doesn't get one-shotted by the worms as well.
I can fight.
Now, I guess I'll just have not Byleth. I'm thinking I'm in Three Houses. No, Aaliyah go over where I can potentially swim to either one side or the other, depending on how things go. And yep, they are going for the crest stones. Unfortunately, you can't heal them. So, you kind of gotta just let them take the damage that they're taking here. Thankfully, the enemies do tend to focus on, like, different individual ones instead of just all piling on the same one. Because if that happened, you know there would be problems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. If you were down, I think Louis might be able to get to this one. So let's see who wants to... Well, I mean, I suppose if Yunaka can move her maximum movement and still kill an enemy, she probably should do that. Yeah, still, I mean, I know that... I've already said it before, but I do wish that we got a full version of Song of the Nabateans, like the full lyrics to it. They probably do have full lyrics for it. Oh, actually, wait, you can't get there. But they probably do have full lyrics to it somewhere. I need to stop you, and I can't get close enough to use, I almost called it Stride. Again, my brain has suddenly gone Three Houses. Can't quite get close enough to use, it's not necessarily a terrible idea, but to use Advance, that's it. See, here I really would very much like Thyrsus, and I can't get it. Well, I mean, I suppose Alcrus can try and, this is the downside of using Ike's Engrave there. I mean, yeah, I could theoretically, like, pray for Luna on this, but it's not going to kill either way. Actually, though... Once again, Cedol coming in clutch with Jean, because with that I can reach the general. See, this is why dances are really good. Like, I remember in, like, some of the early days of the Fire Emblem fandom, there were actually a lot of, like, hardcore players who thought that dancers weren't worth it, because they were just like, oh, you know, it's just an extra copy of your best combat unit. I'd rather bring another good combat unit. Like, I'd rather bring another paladin than a dancer, but it's just... The sheer amount of just versatility that dancers let you do your movements in this game, it's just... Speaking of versatility, Jean's kind of going into places... Oh, that's rubble. Places where he, I was not expecting him to go. That might actually be a bad thing, because I definitely want to take out these corrupted worms. Again, how much do you... 33. You do exactly one off of killing her. I was about to say it's not as if Aaliyah can attack from range, but wait, he can! That might not be a great idea, though, because, I mean, actually, there's Emblem energy right here. The problem is that, like, the Emblem energy is not really conductive to you fighting Byleth on this map. Because generally, Byleth tends to end up on either the left or the right flank of this map, in the end. I know this quite well, because, Byleth I actually find one of the tougher Paralogue emblems to fight. Mostly because he's effective against Aaliyah naturally, and I've been burned by that before. I've been very badly burned by that before.
Allow me.
Don't waste my time.
Uncharacteristically callous of Lapis there. Could at least dart back, and once more, Amber is just gonna... No, he's gonna go over here, because this means that he can use a longbow and still... Wait, no. He still has his longbow, right? Yeah, he does. Doesn't kill you, though. So I think I have to use the Great Axe. Because I don't want you to continue smacking around that creststone. What part of the song is this? It doesn't sound like Edge of Dawn. And now I have to decide whether or not Alcrest attacks that Swordmaster or not. He probably should. And I suppose we can go Silver. I mean, Luna's not really going to do a whole lot if this triggers. Oh, you triggered it, okay. Yeah, see, I'm getting Luna a lot in this playthrough, but it's oftentimes in cases where Alcrest doesn't need it. Usually, if you're having Alcrest attack somebody and he needs Luna to kill, you should not be fighting that enemy with Alcrest. That's just generally the idea. Like, probably why I don't find his Luna as, well, like, it's a nice bonus, but, yeah, generally speaking, I prefer to have him fight things where he doesn't need Luna. Let's see, how good is your... Oh, the Iron Gritlance is fine, especially since you're just gonna tink me twice. Not as funny as that Swordmaster in Path of Radiance who has a Brave Sword, which normally, like, is really terrifying, but actually his attack power is so bad that usually he just does no damage, miss, no damage, miss. About to say Jean could reach him, but no, Jean cannot, because that is rubble. Technically speaking, I can Astral Storm somebody and then canter out of range of the worm, because Astral Storm would give me experience. I sort of wonder about this. Okay, I'm going to try this right now. Yeah, see, I'm not really sure what part of the song this is. I am pretty familiar with, like, a lot of, like... I do really enjoy... As much as I have misgivings with Three Houses gameplay, I will say its soundtrack is easily one of my favorite soundtracks in the entire series, and that's really saying something. Like, its soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal, and Three Hopes is even better. I was just listening to some Three Hopes music while I was getting the music for Byleth's Bio, and, yeah, all those songs are just so good. Though it is admittedly a little amusing that, like, the Azure Moon, Awakening theme is the only one that, like, goes full-on Fire Emblem theme, which is kind of confirming that they are, like, the generic, like, by far the most, like, typical Fire Emblem of all of the houses. Oh, that... See, this is why, this is why I went for the energy drop on him, because it's just, like, a little extra strength goes a long way, but here I'm just still a little off. However, speaking of being a little off, once again, Seadoll is sort of coming in clutch, because I think with a combination of a dance for Lapis and Amber, I'll be able to... The main thing is, you kind of do want to take out the worms, because if you don't, I think they do start moving eventually, and also, let's just say that, Betelgeuse, Dimitri, and Blord, end up getting teleported into the center, so you'll have to deal with them and the house leaders at the same time, which is usually not a great, thing. I'm just a little worried that if I if I provoke the snipers, it'll provoke the whole Byleth thing. Because usually you want a lot of very strong people around the
But I
center.
should learn from you.
Again, Amber is so strong that I forget he can chain attack sometimes. But, yeah, you generally want to make sure that you've got stuff around the center before you provoke the warping. Because when that happens, then, well, yeah. In fact, on that note, I kind of want to provoke one of the worms now. Even though like, you can technically silence them. I don't think it does anything. I can just sort of demo it, I guess. That's worth experience, at least. And I get to hear electric guitar Byleth music. Yeah, it can still attack. Like, so those aren't considered magic or anything. Do I lure the second one too? I probably should lure the second one too. Can I, like, actually kill the second one, though? Like, I'd need to get, like, super... I'd probably need Lunas, and I'd also need Jean to do very, very well. Okay, I really hope this doesn't backfire. Okay, Yunaka's here. Okay, come on, Mr. Big Worm. Hi there, what are you gonna do? Ow! Yeah, they hurt a lot. Were there any demonic beasts in this map in the original? I want to say maybe there were. Okay, at least one of you missed. Byleth. Okay, good. Byleth is not in aggro mode because, like, trust me, you'll know when Byleth is in aggro mode. You will know big time. See, I wanted to use Lapis on them, but it's probably going to be better to use Amber. I can try Lapis at least. I just feel like she's fallen behind a little bit, and I sort of want her to do better. I actually realized I was testing out some, like, some second seals, and apparently, not apparently, I actually know this, if I made Clan a hero right now, he'd be objectively better than Lapis, and he'd have a better strength growth too, which is kind of sad. Lapis has more speed, though. Okay, let's see. Yeah, see, the Wormslayer will do a decent chunk of damage here. I would say I want why do I keep calling Aaliyah Byleth? Why is it that I think I'm in 3 houses because of this map? I don't know, I guess it's just finding it hard to get, you know, my first, you know, my blind run of 3 houses out of my head right now. Because I will say, like, I was legitimately 100% blind on what happened in the Holy Tomb. That is one thing that I guess I can preemptively say when talking about my, like, tangent thoughts on the game, is that, I definitely did have a fun time playing, should I use the killer bow? Nope, should definitely not use the killer bow. I definitely had a fun time with my 3 houses blind playthrough, and unlike my Fates blind playthrough, I made sure to actually stay blind this time.
I won't miss.
A combination of... Wow, that was exactly enough to kill.
I had no choice but to win.
1 lunar and 1 crit. See, again, I was not practicing what I preached there with, like, you don't want to fight things with Alchrist if you need Luna, but I had Jean to pick up the slack. Like, my actual plan was to have Jean finish that. Oh, hey, Parallel Falchion is actually dragon effective here because this is not a corrupted worm. I definitely need to heal you, though.
I'll change the future into hope.
Which is not something that really happens in 3 houses. But anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, so like, because of the simultaneous worldwide release combined with, if I go here and try and Great Ether, they're not going to be close enough. And also, I do not like the idea of getting hit by, though... He only has 7 resistance. So they're doing 1, 2, 25 halved, which is like 13 or 14, depending on if it rounds up or down. So 2 lots of 13, so basically 26. He might survive. But yeah, because of the simultaneous worldwide release, I was able to... this is the problem, luring those... Actually, no, they have silver bows. They don't have long bows, so I can lure them with Yunaka if I wanted to. Or I could lure them with the bros. Yeah, let's try luring them with the bros and hope they don't get crit or anything. Oh, I could call doubles too. In fact, that's probably a decent idea. Just gotta make sure I equip a tome on you rather than the killer bow, because if I do this... Because I will be able to kill those snipers next turn, definitely. Because Great Ether does buff your defense. Yeah, this is in part why I don't really do, like, tangents in the middle of gameplay in this, because you do need to think quite a lot about your moves. So yeah, apologies if I keep interrupting myself, but the simultaneous worldwide release meant that I was able to just boycott TV tropes and not get spoiled on anything. Like, admittedly, by the time the Holy Tomb happened, I had pretty much figured out a certain twist. But, like, honestly, that actually made it even better, because my whole thing was, like, it wasn't so much, you know, who is the Flame Emperor, but what is Dimitri gonna do when he finds out? And, oh boy, that part did not disappoint at all. Because, yeah, I had seen the trailers, but, like, part of the reason why I chose the Blue Lions route was, well, one, I expected that it would be the least popular. Oh boy, was I wrong. Because, like, very few people were actually talking about it. Oh, wow, you're only doing 6. I guess it's because of the resistance boost from Great Ether. Very few people were talking about it in the pre-release, because, you know, Black Eagles had waifus and Golden Deer had memes. So, like, Blue Lions didn't really have anything. And then Dimitri said kill every last one of them in the trailer, and then I was kind of curious to be like, okay, how does Dimitri go from typical Fire Emblem Prince to that? And, yes, then that happened. So that was, I mean, it was pretty much what I expected. But that's the kind of plot twist that I like, is the kind of plot twist that makes you say, that doesn't make you, because, like, you can only shock your audience once, but, like, it's the kind of plot twist that makes me go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I saw where this was going. And that's, yeah, that's essentially what happened. I was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. I can see it going in that direction. Like, that's how I felt about Edelgard's character too. From, like, what little I played of, I was kind of playing a little bit of a Black Eagles route at the same time, and I stopped, like, partway through because I could kind of see where it was going, and I was like, okay, yeah, I probably want to wait for the other routes, because I feel like playing this any further might have some spoilers for the other routes. Yeah, I was like, so many people were shocked, but, like, I was just like, no. Edelgard's character went in exactly the direction I expected it to. Like, from her personality, the way she reacted to so much of stuff, like, all through the first half of the game, like, I was not surprised by where her arc ended up going. I was just like, that's exactly where I saw this going. And again, that's the mark of a good plot twist. It's when you can see where things, like, I mean, you know, so sometimes I guess there is merit in being not too predictable, I suppose. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of like Ace Attorney plot twists too that I really like, where it's like I can kind of figure them out ahead of time, and it's just, to me, it's really satisfying when you've well, okay then. I mean, he's not going to get any higher with Lyn, really, but honestly, he's actually impressing me with Lyn right now. I don't have a healer on this side, though, which is unfortunate. Oh, my only healer on this side is Byleth, and he... Why did I do that again? For some reason, the Holy Tomb has just caused my brain to transform into Three Houses mode. But, yeah, my only healer is Aaliyah right now, and Aaliyah is unable to heal himself because he's not a high priest. Yeah, I often get high priest and martial master's class skills confused because admittedly they're pretty similar conceptually. They're both just about, like, healing yourself a little bit, but anyway. But I mean, I suppose I can still go for this. But yeah, so you know, like, I'm definitely praising, you know, some aspects of Three Houses plot,
I still have a lot to learn.
and, like, the way that some of the characters are written. Okay, there we go. That's good. That's very good. There's definitely elements of it that I do think are not, like, the best, though. And this is another, like, thing from my first playthrough that, doing it blind on YouTube was it was a bit of a weird experience. I actually recently came back to the comments on the finale, and I found that I actually apologized at the time for, like, how I was making jokes about certain plot points, because people were mad that I did. Like, people were very, very, like... But that's the thing, because I was playing blind, and because I was completely blacking myself out from connection to the rest of the fan base at the time. Well, here we go! It's time! Here it comes! Yep! There goes Dimitri, there goes Betelgeuse. And now Byleth Goddess dances for the Warp Staffers. When I first saw this in my first Engage playthrough, I was like, oh, holy crap, the AI actually does this? Like, they refresh the Warp Staff users? Uh-oh. Oh boy, that side's not gonna have a good time right now. Again, though, they do prioritize the crystals over attacking you. And none of them are magical. However, Betelgeuse does have an enormous amount of attack power. Oh, I really wish I had, No, I don't need Seedol over this side. I have two... I just realized that now would be a great time to use use Corrin's Engage ability. Because if I do that, it will freeze both Dimitri and Betelgeuse. I'm sorry I'm just doing this, but it's just like, one of my running jokes in Three Houses was whenever there was like a generic replacement for like a major character that I would give them a silly name that's like the same name, but with a, like, one letter different. Can I, like, torrential roar them? Nope, that's really bad. Must be considered a physical weapon. So, okay, if I do this, this freezes those two. Oh boy. I just realized that I'm freezing Edelgard and Dimitri next to each other. Which just makes me think of that, which makes me think of, like, a weirdly of all things, a My Little Pony quote that I actually think is kind of appropriate right now. Together forever, I can't think of anything they'd like less. It's actually my headcanon as to how one of the emblems in this game works. But I'll get to that later. That doesn't get rid of his freeze status, does it? So, my worry here is Blord, because there's a good chance he might be able to kill Clan.
As you wish.
And I don't think I can kill him this turn. Yeah, so these two are frozen, I don't need to be concerned with them at all. Kinda wish Yunaka could get closer, though. Oh, actually, Aaliyah can warp somebody. That's not Aaliyah. No, wait, he doesn't have the warps. Please tell me that I have one in my convoy. I hope I have one in my convoy. If I was able to warp somebody, I may be able to take out Blord this turn. So weird talking seriously about my silly nicknames, but still. I don't think, I don't think Luna's like a critical. I think if you see the Luna activation, I think it can still miss. Okay, so I can destroy one health bar on him like that. I mean, I don't double, but at the same time, that's Claude, so you'd expect him to be. Although, I was recently looking up Three Houses stat caps, and Claude's, like, speed cap is a lot lower than I expected. Oh, I do also have Seedol. In fact, something that people brought up to me that I sort of didn't realize was that, Seedol has the movement of, is that Seedol has the movement of a promoted foot unit. I probably do have to move you back a little bit, because otherwise I don't think I'll be able to warp you far enough. But yeah, normally dancers have the movement of an unpromoted foot unit, so they can actually, it can be hard for them to catch up with the rest of your army. Okay, please tell me that I have a spare warp staff in the convoy, but although I've been burned on this before. I do! Okay, good. Now, please tell me that with a warp, you'll be able to get... Oh, you might just barely be in range of Blord. So let's see. That actually sounds more like Road Taken than anything from Three Houses. But okay then. With an iron bow, you do 37. That's probably not enough to kill. that plush Jaune, I don't think, is enough to kill. We can try at least, but he has way more health than that, I think. I mean, he's gonna prioritize the crest stones, though. I'm pretty sure. Right, let's see, yeah, that's not gonna finish you. Unless I crit, that'd be funny. Nope, no crit, okay. Yeah, usually I have Byleth aggroed by now. But yeah, it's probably a good thing I don't have Byleth aggroed right now, because Byleth is really, really scary. The Creator Sword plus Aaliyah effectiveness, I've definitely had Aaliyah die to that in the past. Okay. Oh yeah, now they just warp themselves. It's kind of weird. It's like, hello! Oh yeah, then they warp, then they double warp. Yeah, now I remember why I reacted to this map so interestingly in my first playthrough. I was like, oh yeah, that happened. Warp, double warp chain. Like, you typically don't get enough warp staves to actually pull that off yourself, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, they do a warp chain just to get Blord closer to the... Hi there, Griffins! Closer to the crest stones, but... However, he's about to get intercepted by, wait a minute. Nope, he's not about to get intercepted by Yunaka. So I have to change my plans a little bit. Okay, so step one. Step one is watch out for these Griffins. Oh yeah, Byleth is aggroed now, but he's going towards my heavier side, like on character's side, so that's okay. So okay then. Let's not get in range of that, but let's definitely make sure that we go... Hi there, Betelgeuse, eat fire. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only because of... Wait, no, he doesn't even have, Byleth's, mentorship right now. But okay, then. Jump back a bit so I can get clan support, and now... I don't kill you, do I? I just barely don't kill you. Well, that sucks. Okay. Oh, I do have a chain attacker here, though. So, I could do... Let's see. If I longbow Dimitri from here, I have chain attack on Betelgeuse, and also Dimitri dies.
Just like a hero.
I'm so sorry to do that. Okay, that's one down. And now... Okay. Yeah, that should be death now. I mean, if the chain attack hits. If it doesn't, I'll just have to use someone else.
Leave it to me.
Okay, thank you for hitting.
Guess I did it right.
Yeah, that's a Corrin quote. I mean, you'd know that if you played Fates, though. Some people think they took, like, most of Corrin's, like, less interesting critical, victory quotes from Fates, but still. And, well, in a moment of irony, let's finish you off with a bow.
I'll go.
And this is for Golden Wildfire.
I'll apologize later.
Except, like, in... I recently actually looked up scripts from, like, Golden Wildfire, and, oh boy, it's even worse than I thought it would be. And really, to me, the only way that route actually makes sense is if the Claude on Golden Wildfire is actually an Agarthan. And, like, I mean, admittedly, that would be kind of an interesting plot point if an Agarthan replaced one of the three main lords. But, like, that is the only way it makes sense to me, is if Claude is an Agarthan on that route. Because it's just, like, like, to me, his plan there is not only amoral, it's also downright stupid. Like, it's actually Fate's Conquest levels of dumb, as far as, like, what he's actually trying to do. Like, it's almost exactly Fate's Conquest plot. It's just, yeah, it's really stupid. I'm not gonna depress myself by talking about it now.
Quite capable.
Yes, you are still indeed quite capable. Let's see if you are capable of... Okay, well, at least you're not going to take damage. I'm just worried that the Griffin will double him, that's all. Because, yeah, Louis' durability is not looking great right now. I'm actually considering reclassing him to Halberdier, because if I do that, he might be able to quadruple attack with Brave Lancers with Erica, and that might be interesting. See, like, Okay, yeah, Byleth has 25 speed too, and this isn't even on Maddening mode. I think he has an extra health bar on Maddening too, so... I still have Clan. Okay, I can still Draconic Hex freeze Byleth, though, eventually. It's just like, because it's always really dangerous to go in range of Byleth, because he's very strong. In fact, in my opinion, he may be one of the toughest. I've already said that. Oh, right, they do that too. So yeah, they do that, and then they go for the Crest Stones. It's sort of an interesting gimmick to me, but... I just realized, have any enemies actively tried to attack me this entire map? I think just the dragons. Fortified Defense is up, and now... Yeah, see, Byleth didn't attack. He wants me to take that sort of to create a counterattack. Unfortunately, you just went near Amber, so, you're dead now. Although, he doesn't really need experience, so probably should rather just use Alcrest to explode you. 50. Yeah, it's only barely less than this. Yeah, people say the Radiant Bow is,
I can't believe I did that.
really good even on, like, non-magic users, but, I don't know. You do sort of need a little bit of magic to make the most use out of it. That's why I like it on Anna and Fogado. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, he has Cavalry effectiveness with Blutgang as well, because, yeah. However, I like how Byleth's grimacing there. He knows that I'm about to freeze him. Okay, I did freeze him, and I hexed him. Okay, so there we go. He's been auraed. You have recover. Okay, so I could have Yunaka start attacking. I do not like that 2% crit rate, though. I feel like things like that are my catchphrases when I play Fire Emblem, but it's sort of rare that, I haven't really said it a lot in this playthrough, but hopefully I don't end up eating those words. But yeah, while I'm here, I can give, like, some of my thoughts on Byleth himself. The thing is that it's weird. My thoughts on Byleth are kind of strange. So I don't, like, there's a lot of people who really dislike, who immensely dislike Byleth, and I'm just like, I mean, okay. So Byleth is not, like, the best character to me, but I don't feel like he's game-ruining either. The only real issue I have is, as I've said before, the fact that he doesn't talk. Like, the fact that they made him a silent protagonist, I wouldn't have a problem with that if it weren't for the fact that he is also an experienced mercenary with a legendary reputation in the game's lore, which means that, like, this guy who's, like, an actual veteran of combat, who has people all over the continent terrified of him as the Ashen Demon, or her, sorry, I've only really played with male Byleth, is also treated just like Alear or Robin who have amnesia. It's just really just kind of silly to me, the fact that they're not even allowed to, and that's why I like here, because here you actually get to see Byleth be a teacher in his phone conversations, which is something that you didn't really see much in the original game because he was silent. And also the fact that Three Houses had full voice acting, that also really didn't help matters. It's annoying that I can't check the health on those. But they have 90, I think I'm fine. So my idea here is that you go over here. Because here's, like, the plan. Just in case you decide to break your AI and attack Alear, I'm going to, heal. The plan is that I dance Alear onto the Emblem energy, get Parthia back, and use Parthia to kill that.
I'll do my best.
So you are stuck attacking Amber, and this means... Oh, he gets broken, so you don't lose another health bar. Hell, he used Blutgang, though, not the Creator Sword. Okay, so... Well, okay, hopefully those aren't gonna get much of a chance to make a difference here. I do sort of want to get Louis in a little bit, just so that Louis might level up. And probably not gain strength. But yeah, like, So, okay, on the one hand, I don't think Byleth is, like, game-ruining. On the other hand, I don't think Byleth is, like, as important to the plot of Three Houses as a lot of fans say he is. Like, there's so many people who are like, oh, Dimitri and Edelgard only changed because of Byleth, and he just makes them so much better. But, like, to me, okay, From Three Hopes, honestly, Edelgard and Dimitri are basically the same, even without Byleth. Edelgard may even be a little better, arguably. Like, I honestly think, like, this is kind of a hot take, but, like, Byleth is just an enabler for Edelgard. He makes her so much worse. Like, that's just something I'll rant about, like, later, but it's just, he's just, like, he or she is just basically just a simp who just agrees with everything she says and just enables all of her worst aspects, so, yeah. That's definitely gonna get a lot of people mad at me, but it is how I feel. But yeah, that's why I do think that she's marginally better in Three Hopes. Okay, you did equip Blutgang, so what's my best hit rate? That. I'm just doing this to freeze you again. Because I'm still engaged, there's no limit to the number of times I can freeze Byleth. And also debuff his stats back to -4. Is that going to take off a health bar? It will, good.
Leave it to me.
Yeah, but like, I was about to say that, like, considering Three Hopes, like, really the only one of the lords that Byleth definitively makes better is Claude, but, I kind of blame how Claude is in Three Hopes on writing rather than actually being in character of him, because I don't think Claude is in character. Because, like, yeah, he doesn't like the Church of Seros back in the original Three Houses, but he wouldn't do that, like what he does in Three Hopes. It's just, he would not do that. Anyway. Alright, Lapis is here. I don't think she can actually finish one of these. I can try to, like, do a... I mean, she can't even get a crit or a skill or anything. I mean, unless it's marginally a little bit of experience, I suppose. Yeah, I also feel like attributing Dimitri's development in Three Houses to Byleth is really cheapening Dimitri's character. It's part of why I'm not, like, a huge fan of the Byleth-Dimitri ship.
My legend starts now.
Amber has really just been the slayer of legendary heroes, hasn't he? Did he just... Oh yeah, he just said, I had nothing left to teach. That's pretty cool, considering what he's trying to do to us this map. And that is kill us. You protected an incredible number of crystals. So I think this is the first time that I've saved all of them. I did put off this Paralogue until a little later than I usually do it, though. Admittedly, though, freezing Betelgeuse and Dimitri is something I never tried before, and that actually helped. But yeah, the reward for saving them all isn't even all that great. It's just a talisman and an elixir, and I'm pretty sure you get the talisman even if you lose a couple of them. So yeah, like in all of my playthroughs, I think I've still got the talisman. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's... Yeah, I feel like there could have been a better reward for it. It's fun to try and save as many as possible.
I managed to win. Somehow.
So that, okay, on the one hand, it was easier than I expected it to be, and on the other, I am doing this a little late. But, I do attribute part of my easy time to me not having Aaliyah where Byleth is.
Well done. Your fighting was magnificent. The trial is past.
I am convinced you are not going to become the next Rhea. You can have my power.
I learned so much battling you.
Thank you. But your skills were quite strong even before we met.
Still, you've taught me so many things. You're an excellent teacher, Byleth.
And that's kind of you to say, though it helps that you have such raw skill already. All I need do is listen and give a little nudge to those embarking on a path.
See, again, actually getting to see Byleth be a teacher, and like how their teaching method actually works.
Your success here is the direct result of all the choices you've made before today.
I've always understood that one choice leads to another, but I'm worried what might happen if I ever make the wrong choice.
You needn't worry at all. By passing this trial, you've shown the truth of who you are.
Again, this just fits into my headcanon of what Byleth was trying to do here.
And you have your allies to set you right, should you ever begin to stray.
This is a thing that definitely happens on Azure Moon, but very much not on Crimson Flower.
Remember, I will always be by your side as well. To the very end.
Thank you. I'll continue on my path, trusting my allies to help me along the way.
You've clearly learned all you need to here. Shall we continue on our journey?
But before we continue, let's talk about Byleth's higher bond levels. Byleth's overall boost of +3 magic isn't that high for a max bond level, but it comes with +3 speed and a very big luck bonus, and every point of luck counts with Byleth. Though not because of their Bond 13 skill. Lost and Found gives you a luck % chance to raise support points with an adjacent ally after acting or waiting next to them. It's only one support point, the same as using a staff or fighting while adjacent, and it's subject to the rounding issue that all support points gained during battle in Engage have. Meaning it's overall more of a joke skill than anything useful, just a silly reference to the lost items in Three Houses. Definitely not a joke though is the Bond 18 skill Divine Pulse Plus, which has a 50% chance of turning a miss into a hit, which increases by 1 for every 1 point of luck. This is also how the regular Divine Pulse worked. I got it mixed up with Marth's boost to avoid earlier. If I'm doing my maths right, this essentially means your accuracy gets exponentially better the lower it is. For example, a 1% hit rate effectively becomes around 51% with Divine Pulse Plus, and that's with 0 luck. And remember, once again, that it works on status staves too. Byleth's Bond 15 weapon is the Sword of the Creator. It's a little weak by Bond 15 standards, but it does come with 1 to 2 range, and +1 damage for every 3 magic the user has. Though it is still a strength-based weapon, so don't expect dedicated mages to do a lot with it. The main draws of Byleth's higher level inheritance are the Luck Plus skills, which get pretty significant, as well as Divine Pulse Plus. I can't be the only one who thinks this skill is severely underpriced for how good it is. Though to be fair, it is the main noteworthy thing about completing Byleth's Paralogue, as Byleth is a rare emblem who's very good regardless of Bond level. So, it's actually kinda weird. I was fully planning to go into this mat giving a very huge negative rant on Three Houses, but I had a lot of fun talking about my positive experiences of it during the chapter. But I do have to say that I definitely really... It was my first playthrough that was a fun time, and then I definitely started to get more and more disillusioned with Three Houses the further I went.
Thank you so much.
It can mostly be boiled down to 2 things, but really it's just... okay, 3 things. Firstly, I quickly realized that I quote-unquote wanted something a bit meatier, to use a Xenoblade meme, when it came to strategic gameplay. Just thinking about Three Houses again, the only map that I really find all that interesting is Chapter 8. It has a decent variety of bonus objectives, and it's kind of fun to try and go for them all. None of the others stand out to me at all. And that really says something, especially since the maps are like only 20% of the gameplay and all the rest is just Monastery. And as I keep saying, I don't think the Monastery would have been that bad if it weren't for the fact that you have to go through it on 4 routes. And you can't really skip it without gimping your experience and other resources. And also, you kind of need to talk to everybody in the Monastery at all times in order to fully... Alfred, you're lucky you've never met Rhea. She'd probably get really mad at you for doing that. Like, you would literally be running on the graves of her massacred ancestors. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Monastery. So, yeah, that was just like... You have to talk to everybody to get, like, the full info on every route as well, so it really just takes so long.
Please.
And then Maddening just did not end up tactically interesting to me, because every enemy is just a brick wall, which causes every chapter to take 2 hours to beat even the early ones. It's just like, it kind of makes combat arts more useful. There's a lot of people who do like Three Houses Maddening. I much prefer Engage Maddening, because it's a bit more,
A moment.
the durabilities are a bit more reasonably balanced. Like, enemies aren't so durable that you can't, like, you know,
Not bad.
take them out in a reasonable amount of time. I can still get through the chapters on Engage Maddening fairly quickly, which is more than can be said of Three Houses Maddening. So yeah, that's one thing. I've just kind of felt that the gameplay wasn't really doing it for me. And here's the thing. Okay, well, I was about to say as fun as it is to discuss Three Houses' story. Correction! As fun as it is to discuss Three Houses' story in an isolated environment with no discourse, because the only reason I can be so open about all of these thoughts that I have is because I don't have anybody else in the room with me who has... I know it just kind of sucks to have echo chambers and not to talk about different views with other people, but it's just like... yeah, and Three Hopes just made the Three Houses discourse even worse than it already was. It's just... I was hoping that when the next Fire Emblem came out, people could move on from the discourse, but no, because the story of Three Houses was better received than this game's story, people have just gone back to debating Three Houses' story. And that actually lets me segue into another reason why I've been a little bit... Well, I'm not super... keen to go back to Three Houses anytime soon. And that is... the writing was a little too good. In one respect. And that respect being... I preemptively apologize to all Edelgard fans for what I'm about to say, but, I'm sure you all know how I feel about... I'm sure most of you know how I feel about her by now. But... you might not know how strongly I do. I have never felt raw, genuine hatred, loathing, and disgust towards a fictional character before I encountered Edelgard. And because she's such a prominent character in all of the routes, it's not like I can just ignore her. Like, there are characters in Engage that I'm not a big fan of, like Goldberry, but, like, Goldberry is not super important. I can easily ignore Goldberry. I mean, Goldberry doesn't make me feel nearly as much hatred, don't get me wrong, but... you get what I mean. Edelgard is not a character that you can ignore. At all. If you're playing Three Houses, she's, like, the most important character. Edge of Dawn is literally her theme song. You can't get away from her. And because of that... I just can't go back to Fodlan without getting all of those feelings coming back. They're not pleasant feelings to experience. Really, really not pleasant feelings. Like, my blood pressure spikes, my face goes red when I even think about her. And I'm not even exaggerating, I've talked to therapists about my hatred of Edelgard. It's that bad. It's just like, on the one hand, yeah, I applaud the writing for making me feel so strongly about a fictional character, but on the other hand, I don't want to ever think about Fodlan again now. So, anyway, that's one aspect, and it kind of sucks feeling this way, because the fact that Edelgard is like a bisexual option for the main lord, people are quick to accuse you of being a misogynist homophobe if you hate her, but Rhea's also a same-sex romance option, and most Edelgard supporters really hate Rhea, so by that logic, you're a misogynist homophobe if you hate Rhea, so it's just kind of a double standard. But I won't get into that. I don't really want to go into the discourse again because I've just had enough of it. It's another reason why I don't want to go back to Three Houses anytime soon. And it's also why I haven't bought Three Hopes. Because from what I've heard about Three Hopes, only Azure Gleam is the route that I would like at all. And even then, Azure Gleam also has its issues. Like, people have said that, like, even some people who dislike Edelgard don't like what happens to her in Azure Gleam. Am I a bad person if I say I actually think that's the best possible fate for her? Because it's just like, it means she has a chance to start again. But anyway. And then there is the other aspect to why my view on Three Houses has soured a lot. And yeah. I've been trying to avoid this for so long because I have really enjoyed this playthrough of Engage so far. Like, you can probably tell, like, my mood has been very up. I'm having so much fun with this. I'm really, really, really enjoying playing this game, and that's just because Fire Emblem Engage is the most fun that I've ever had playing a Fire Emblem game since Radiant Dawn, and that's over a decade ago. No Fire Emblem has got gameplay as right as this. And the characters have, like, actual strengths and weaknesses that you have to consider, rather than just being a kill enemy button, which is what I felt like most of the characters in Three Houses devolved into over time. And that's the thing, people say that Engage's characters aren't as memorable, and to that I say, they endear themselves to me so much through gameplay. Like, for example, this playthrough is maybe like Clan more than I ever have before. All entirely because of what he's done for me in gameplay. And like my first playthrough, Lapis fell behind for me for a while, and then she suddenly became amazing just when I considered dropping her from my team. And that alone made me really like her and made me want to get more of her supports. Because that's the thing to me, it's just... Engage just had such a bad reception from not just like fans, but professional reviewers as well. And it can all be summed up in 4 words. It's not Three Houses. And to that, I just say, Three Houses is such an atypical Fire Emblem game. If you're going into this series expecting the rest of it to be like Three Houses, then I'm sorry, but you're going to be disappointed. Most of that was an awful level up. Most of Three Houses is a Koei Tecmo game. It's not an Intelligent Systems game. And that's why I was never bothered by Awakening being as much of a mainstream success as it was, because at least with that, it at least felt more like a traditional Fire Emblem experience, and most people who played it, started with Awakening, did end up going back to play the other games. And that was the intent with Engage. The really interesting thing about Engage, and I might talk about this more later, is that according to developer interviews, it was meant to be a kind of a newcomer-friendly game with references to past games, like Awakening, with the goal of getting more newcomers to check out the earlier Fire Emblem games. And Three Houses, meanwhile, was supposed to be a game for veterans of the series and older players with its darker, more mature story. Of course, I hesitate to call a story that relentlessly bleak mature, but that's just me. And the actual reception of both games turned out to be the exact opposite. Three Houses was the mainstream success, and Engage was more successful with veterans. And the problem there is, if you like Three Houses, you're probably not going to find much of what you liked in the rest of the series. And the success of Three Houses makes me terrified. Terrified that we'll never get a game with as good gameplay as Engage ever again.
Everybody can tell right off that I'm from a Pyrenees island by my accent.
Oh, this is actually really interesting, because, hey, they actually did explain the accent. I've been wanting to talk about Jean's accent for a while, sorry to stop my topic for a little bit here, but in Japanese it's Kansai, and I really like that they made it British instead of American Southern, like they normally do with Kansai.
That's nothing to be ashamed of. You should wear the marks of your homeland proudly.
That's actually a really nice conversation. Maybe I should use Lean on Jean more often. Because I found that Jean's main issue for me at the moment is that he's just not doubling what he needs to, because he has bad builds, but with a bit more speed too. I'll talk about that next time, because I'm considering reclassing him quite soon. I mean, technically he probably needs to level up once more before I reclass him, but unfortunately you can't second seal in the middle of a chapter and Engage. Speaking of gameplay differences from other Fire Emblems, because like that's the thing, the class system in Three Houses is just so radically different. The fact that you need more than 100 experience for every level up, it's just so weird to me. It's a good game on its own merits. It's just that I know that I feel entitled for saying that it's not what I personally want from Fire Emblem, but it's just like, after Three Houses, Engage was the Fire Emblem game that I wanted. Good gameplay that actually makes me think tactically, no route splits, and an at least passable story. Because the thing with video games to me is that unless it's a visual novel, the greatest story in the world will not make me want to replay a game. It's gameplay that makes me keep coming back. I've come back to Engage over and over again just because of its gameplay. I've just booted up the game and played the first 7 chapters on Maddening, just on a whim, for fun. And I never do that with games. So just the fact that the gameplay was able to be so special to me, and the fact that a game like that can get reviews that are like 5 out of 10 just because its story and characters aren't as good as Three Houses, it just frustrates and saddens me. But, okay, that's all I'll talk about here. This has gone on long enough. I'll see you all next time for probably one of the chapters that proves just how special Engage is gameplay-wise. Chapter 17 is really something. You'll see.